This is my review of My Hero Academia. Okay, so this episode was mainly to catch people up with what's going on with the series thus far, because if I remember correctly, there's quite a substantial gap between Season 2 and Season 3. So, this episode was mainly to be kind of fillery, while at the same time catching people up to speed with what went on in the last episode, and the last iteration of the series, because it did take them quite a bit to animate Season 3. And so they wanted to make sure people knew exactly what was going on with the third season. And while I'm completely on board with that, considering the fact that I've been watching these back to back, it kind of doesn't really apply to me all too much. So, and that's just a personal gripe on my part with the episode, but as a whole, this episode does a good job of catching people up to speed with what's going on with the series as a whole. So it starts off with our old pal Shigaraki, who has now determined what kind of villain he is and what his motivations are and where his anger lies, I guess, and is now planning to make moves on All Might and the group as a whole. Meanwhile, Izuku is training for the Force Training Camp, which is going to be coming up very soon, when he suddenly hears a knock on the door and finds Kanamori and Mineta standing on his front doorstep. And they point out that they had actually put in a petition to go to the pool with Mineta and actually send in a request for it with Mr. Aizawa, and that they want Izuku to come along. And Izuku agrees. So Deku, Mineta, and Kaminari go with him, go to the pool, and go in and talk to Mr. Aizawa, who is listing off all the quirks up for Class 1A to one of his colleagues, a man named Vlad, who we haven't seen up to this point, I don't think. And Mr. Aizawa says that their request has been submitted and approved, but they have to be out by 5. So the 3 students go to the changing room, and it's revealed that the main reason Kaminari and Mineta put in the request form was so that they could ogle the girls in their swimsuits, because they overheard a conversation a few weeks prior about how they were going to hang out at the pool. And they went, and so they were planning to ogle the girls in their swimsuits, but are surprised to find that all the guys from Class 1A are there. And it's revealed that Deku actually texted them all, and so they all knew that they would be there. And the main reason they were there was for endurance training, which was what the request form was for. And Mineta and Kaminari don't even have the satisfaction of ogling the girls in their swimsuits, because they're wearing school-owned swimsuits instead of their standard regular ones, which they were expecting to be a bit more skimpy, but they aren't. So the two are completely disappointed, and they begin endurance training with the rest of the school, with the rest of their class. So after a bit of training, Ida and Deku have a bit of a heart-to-heart, because it's revealed that Ida didn't immediately believe that he was going to be good friends with Izuku, but now they are, and points out that he didn't really think too much of Deku when they first met, and didn't expect them to become such good friends. But now they are. And he realized that after seeing him sacrifice potentially all of his points to save Ochako, that he might have been wrong about Izuku, and now the two are best friends, which is something that neither of them really expected. And Izuku responds that he's glad that Ida thinks so fondly of him, and points out that it was always his dream to become a hero, and he's finally happy that he's able to live his dream of becoming a hero. At which point Kaminari and Bakugo walk in late, because it took a bit of convincing on Kaminari on what is his name? Kirishima. Not Kaminari, Kirishima. It took a bit of convincing on Kirishima's end to convince Bakugo to show up. And And while Bakugo is mostly talking about his ass about wanting to take Deku there, then and there, Ida actually comes up with it as a pretty good idea and decides that they would hold a race to see who was the fastest in the water. And not surprising anybody, the three students who come in head first in each of the three groups that they had were Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki. So the three are about to race when Mr. Aizawa walks in and breaks up the whole thing because it's now 5 o'clock and they all go home without any sort of closure on who would actually win in a race between the three of them. So the three guys go home disappointed, except for Deku, who goes to the beach where it all began and actually runs into All Might, who had just gotten out of a meeting with his police friend, who told him that there had been several interactions with the League of Villains and was keeping All Might up to date with what was going on before sending All Might on his merry way. And All Might actually was going to the beach anyway, so he wound up seeing Deku there, and Deku and All Might have a bit of a talk about how the training camp is going to be tough, but Deku will be able to get through it. And that's mostly where it ends. After that it's established that the new training camp location is different than the ones they've had before, mainly because they're concerned that the League of Villains are going to be able to find out some way that they're going to be going to a different location and want to try and keep the villains away from the training site and away from the students. So that's mainly what's going on here. Although it is kind of hinted at that maybe the League of Villains probably knows where they are going, and that's Shigaraki has already made plans to confront the UA students. So it probably won't work out. But overall, this episode was mainly just to be like a fillery episode, while at the same time catching people up to date with what was going on. As I summarize things, but there are a lot of developments related scenes that are shown shot for shot in this episode. And that's mainly what most of the episode was. So I paraphrase a lot, but there are a lot of shots in this episode that are very important to various characters. And so this episode was kind of fillery. If you've watched the anime up to this point and have waited like I did to cover it, then you guys probably already know that all of this information. But for somebody who probably hasn't watched the show up to this point, and at the time this aired, and it probably took a bit of a while, this is a good little catch-up episode for people who were kind of out of the loop for a bit. So it does its job well. I just didn't think it was needed because, I watched it back to back. So anyway, yeah, this episode didn't do a whole lot for the plot, but it did kind of ease people back into the story of My Hero Academia after however long the hiatus was between season 2 and season 3. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did indeed watch this episode of My Hero Academia, then what do you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well if you want to help support the show. It's only a couple bucks a month, and it really helps me out, so I would definitely appreciate it if you did that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!